Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and it's a while since I've done one of these, but confession, I was supposed to do a memory keeping project for the Inspire Ink blog hop that I'm part of. Life got in the way. I didn't get a chance. I know a lot of us struggle to get things done. So memory keeping was the challenge, and I've just created a little memory book, and this was my kind of sample, to be honest with you, and it's really simple, but it's a great idea. I wanted to make something just to carry around with me to remember my recent holiday. You can see here it's got 2 or 3 pockets. It uses 2/3 of a sheet of 12 by 12 paper, and then I've just popped some made some cards and made a little memory sort of journaling of where I went to, and I've used the Countryside Corners dies to help, and really useful if you do memory keeping at all. This is a great one to have because you've got this kind of calendar here as well, and then you've got the days of the week and months of the year, and just a useful one to have in your stash, which I haven't used that much. I must do some more memory keeping because it just, I sat here really enjoying looking through my photos and say these are just 2. I've used an old die here to create this kind of photo frame, but I was really lucky enough to go to Morocco earlier on this year for 2 weeks, and we travelled all over the place. As you can see, lots of places we visited, and I thought this was a great way to use the dies to create some sort of tabs and labels and things to go in there. And you may have noticed that this one is you may not have noticed, this one is a little bit longer. So this is our standard size, and you can see I've just extended it. So if you haven't done that before, I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to make this one using some as you can see, my original was some retired celebration paper, which I was just using to kind of play around with, and it really does suit double-sided paper, this, because you get to see both sides, but it's really quick and easy. So I'm going to use this lovely paper here that goes with the Countryside Corners, and it's 12 by 12, and you've got double-sided paper. Most of it, I'll be honest with you, is directional. So this paper doesn't really suit, this project doesn't really suit directional paper. So you need something that is going to be fine, whichever way up you look at it. So these are the papers that we've got. So 6 designs, and you can see lovely plain backgrounds, really useful, but these fun kind of countryside ones. So that's what I'm going to be using. So let's start off. I'm going to show you how to extend your die. So this is really easy, but a way of when you're doing some projects, sometimes it's not always it's not always the size that you want it. You want it a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, and this is how I do it. So first of all, you're going to take your die and have your piece of cardstock the size that you want your final label layer to be. And to help me, I'm just going to pop a cut piece of tape. Now with these thin dies, you will find that if you put them through straight, they will warp a bit. I'm actually going to just trim that down because I'm going to use that piece and I don't want it to get marked. So there's 2 things here. My plates are really quite marked, I'll be honest with you. I use them and abuse them till they're sort of really done. So I'm just going to pop a bit of tape in here. And what I'm going to do is pop that on my cutting plates, like so. I'm then going to pop a piece of scrap paper over the top, up to about where I want it to be. I'm going to turn that at a slight angle. That helps it and helps stop the distortion. So there we go, there's my paper. And I'm going to pop my plate on the top, but I'm only going to pop it down to this sort of join here, and I'm not going to put it all the way through, so I'll feed it through till about here, and then I'll show you what we do then. So pop that through my cut and emboss, and you'll see that that has just cut sort of 2/3 of the way. I'm then going to unstick that, And what you want to do now is kind of line that up, and you'll feel it kind of slot in to where you've cut it already. So it's then not going to move. So you then just pull it, and this means it's lined up. Pull it to extend it to the length, if that makes sense. And the reason I'm using a bit of paper is because that will help protect it from any marks that might be on your top sheet. And again, what I'm going to do now is I am going to pop it through, but I'm just going to pop it through, so I don't want to cut here. So my piece of paper helps me line it up, or you can pop your sheet and just pop it through. Again, as I say, again, you're only going to go 3/4 of the way and then go backwards. And then when you take that off and you lift it up, you've got a perfectly extended piece. I mean, this has been, this is a technique that's been available for years, but it, does make it easier. Now, if you wanted to make it shorter, it's actually easier, because shorter you would just line it up and put it through. So you'd cut one and then line it up and put it through. But that does mean we can get some nice shapes with this one as well. Thanks, that's another project. So that's what you can, another way you can use these. You'll see with these, the smaller ones are great for labels. You've got that tiny little one in the middle. I haven't actually bought the stamp set to go with this. I kind of looked at it and, ummed and ahed and thought, do you know what, I'm going to leave it. So I didn't buy that. But that's my long tag. And then what I've done, and you could easily do this on a piece of card. So you could create just a tab layer, use your trio punch to chomp it and make it the same as well. So that's going to be my one layer. And as I say, I've just used half sheets. You'll see here I've just used half a label on the back of that, and then I'll put a larger piece to cover it to give me a nice pull-out tag, and you can pop a bit of ribbon on the top there as well. So the main purpose of this is to show you that little folder today, and it is super easy. So you want a piece of DSP that is 8 by 12 inches. Just clearing the decks a little bit. I always get so cluttered up. Right, trying my best. There we go. Right, so there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so you are simply going to score at 4 inches. Now with DSP, remember, don't press too hard. You don't want to press through it, but 2 or 3 times is fine. And then you're going to, on the long edge, score at 6 inches. And once you've done that, just reinforce those score lines. And I'm going to use my bone folder and just make sure, I'm going to make sure I'm lining those up. Because one thing when you make these little mini albums, you do want to make sure that those edges line up nicely for you. Do you know what? I don't think I scored very well at 4 inches. Let's do it again. That's better. So again, you're just going to line up those edges. That's just in case you're slightly off with your cutting or measuring. So you've got a piece that is just divided into 4. And this is, say, so easy. You're going to come in with your snips and cut on this long edge. Like so. And then you're going to cut diagonally. So I'm going to bring my trimmer in, and what I'm going to do, get my scoring blade out of the top. I'm going to fold this top piece. That just makes it easier for me to find the channel. And you'll see I'm going to line up this top piece here and my point at the bottom. I'm going to come in. I'm not going to start at the point. Start in the middle, that way you won't just crush your point. So you'll end up with 2 pieces like this. Okay, and then quite simply this is going to fold up, and this piece here we're going to pop on the top here to create our pocket. Now, we want to create a little notch there. You can use whatever punch. I use the 2 3/8 punch, but you can use our, can't remember what it's called, it's the wavy circle punch as well. And this one's quite nice because it does mean you can line up with your little waves to create a little notch out. And then I'm going to come around, can't remember what that punch is called, that's going to bug me now. Is it Lovely Light? No, it's not Lovely Light. Well, whatever it is. So we've got these two pieces and we just want to layer those up. Now, because I've cut that, I'm just going to run my bone folder up to make sure that cut edge isn't standing proud. It's nice and neat. And you can do one of two things. You can either come in with red tape. I've got a fine tip dispenser here. So I'm just going to run a tiny bit of glue up to the edge, like so, and just hold that in place. Then on the back of this piece where we've cut our scallop out of the top, you're going to come round the bottom edge, the side, so how wobbly am I today? And I'm going to pop that in first. So you see this here, just creasing, holding that up to the fold line and popping it on. Nice and in. There we go. And you see that's all lining up really nicely. So all you need to do now is add your glue to the bottom edge. Now I tend to use on this one, I use a clear glue. This one dries sort of hard and clear rather than Tombow, or I use this of super fine, super sticky tape. So there we have our little folio. Once that's dry, you've then got pockets. So I'm going to pop that in. I can pop my picture in here. I've got another pocket here, and then I thought on the front it would be really nice to again to create another little pocket. So that's where I thought if I used this I could have a tab on the side like so to come in and out, and I put a little pocket on the front here as well. So I'm going to create my pocket by just coming around the edges. Like so. And then with the top piece, because I'm going to make my pocket across, I'm going to pop it across like this. So I'm just going to put my glue across the bottom of that, and that's just because I don't want it kind of wiggling about. Technical terms. So I'm going to leave that to one side to glue, and what I'm going to do is show you how to use that stamp to get our dates in. So my trip, as I say, was back in April. What I'm going to do now is stamp my calendar for my 2-week holiday onto this piece of card. Now when I look through, my holiday starts on the 16th. So I'm just going to cover up that row above, like so, leaving my numbers exposed. And I'm going to come down the week, so I'm going to cover up sort of that 23rd like so, and then the last little bit is the bit at the bottom. So I have the dates for my 2 weeks of holiday in there. Now this is just one way of using it. You can obviously create a full blown calendar, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to ink up those 2 weeks. Misty Moonlight, a lovely blue, just not quite, you know, not quite navy. Used to be a colour we apparently used to have before my time. Once you've done that, my block, I'm just going to come in, I'm going to use my grid paper here, and I'm going to just stamp my dates. Okay. And my holiday started on a Sunday, so you've got the days of the week that start Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or you've got the row that starts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on what you prefer. And obviously, in this instance, mine started on a Sunday. So I'm just going to come in and pop that above my days of my holiday. I'm going to grab my April up here. So there I have my little calendar, and that's what I've used then. So I've just headed it up with where I was, and I've just put down the different days for each, and just a brief description of what I did on each day. Because I toured all the way around Morocco, we had a couple of single nights in different places, then we had 2 nights, but we saw so much, and I just wanted to kind of remind myself when I was telling people about my holiday. You know, most of my photos, like a lot of us, stay on my phone, but when people kind of go, oh, where was that, you know, or what else did you do, what did you do that day, I just thought this was a great way of doing it. And so this was some Roman remains, a lovely Roman city called Volubilis, beautiful spices that I saw while I was there as well. And as I said, we can then use our tab on the front, and I'm just going to cut that down, probably about just to that far end, just inside. Like so. And that gives me another little pull tab as well. And then you'd obviously be able to create some smaller layers to go inside. And I'll probably pop a little photo. So that's the sort of size you're going to have going in the front there. So, you know, it's more of a how-to than a finished project. But I hope it's given you some ideas on using that days to remember set for memory keeping, as well as for sort of birthdays. And have fun creating, because it's a great little memory book that you can have and pop in your handbag, rather than having everything on your phone all the time. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. Bye now.